Welcome to G-Man Gaming and Reviews. In today's video, we're going to be doing a guide to the Necromancer class of Conquest of Elysium 5. So what I'm going to share with you today is so critical for this class that if you do not know it, you're really going to struggle with the Necromancer class. Unlike the other summoning classes, it's not entirely apparent how to use this class early on. And there's just one vital fact that if you don't know, your early game economy is going to really suffer. But if you know it, it completely changes the way that you play with the Necromancer. So let's get into it. Okay, welcome to part 1. So this is where you've just started with the Necromancer class. So I've loaded a new map. Now, I got pretty lucky where I started with an old castle ruin, but normally this won't happen. So when you first start the game with the Necromancer, you will always start with a dark citadel. You'll have one gallows and one farm, right? So when you're playing with the Necromancer, you have you've got your general resources of gold, iron. You've got Hands of Glory, which is your summoning resource and your ritual resource. And then you also have dead bodies that you work with. So what we're going to do is you're always going to start with a Necromancer and a Necromancer Apprentice. So your first play is almost always going to be, I'm playing with a particular mod that makes your start and the AI start better. But what you're always going to do is you're always going to grab all your troops. If you're playing without the mod, you might want to leave 2 troops behind or 3 just to be on the safe side so that your citadel doesn't get taken. But we're going to take them all because I've got my little ballistas to defend me. So the first move is always going to be you're going to move to the gallows. You're going to click on your Necromancer Apprentice. You're going to click on Use Special Power. And you're going to click on Raise Dead. So we're going to end the turn. In this case, I want to raise as many dead as I can because I'm just starting out. So the amount of insanity that you get, I'll talk about insanity. So let's just raise the dead again. I want to try to squeeze out as many troops as I possibly can. Oh, we got some longbowmen. I think we got some longbowmen. Did we get some long-dead longbowmen? Yeah, we got some bowmen. Nice. Alright, next what we're going to do is we're going to hover over our main Necromancer. We're either going to click on Transfer Units or we're going to click the T key. And then we're going to do this. So we're going to click on him. The reason we're doing this is, see how he has an insane value of 10? What that means is there is a 10% chance that he won't be able to act in a turn. Now, if you're carrying him around like this with your main Necromancer, it doesn't really matter. But so that's the cost of the Raise Dead mechanic, is it makes your commander more insane. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the S key to get rid of our slow units. And then we're going to start just moving around the map. Now, what you want to do is you want to try and get your hands on settlements or anywhere that you are likely to have a man advantage. So we've got this little town here. Now, so there's a couple of things here. We've got 38 units. They've got 9. Now, normally I wouldn't do this, but I think we can do this. So what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to grab the Solus. And I'm going to... it'll be next turn. Alright. So let's end our turn. So we've got a captain. I think what we'll do is we don't want to risk it. There's 12 goblins there, so we might try to add these goblins to our army. So what we'll do is we'll leave the Solus here. And then we will move forward. I'm going to kill these goblins because I want to raise them. So that's the thing. Enemies basically fodder. So we've got a Goblin Shaman here. With Hedge Magic. And we've got Spearmen. Alright, so let's fight them. They definitely can't beat us. Oh crap, we lost the Necromancer's apprentice. Alright, it does not matter. Oh no, we didn't. I thought we lost him. What? Did we lose him? No, he killed. Okay, cool. We didn't lose him. Cool. So what we're going to do now with the Necromancer's apprentice is we're going to raise the dead. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to add bodies to protect all my units. So now we've got an army of 43. Now, see, this is more defended, and it's got a siege catapult, so we probably don't want to take that early. So I think now at this point, we should be able to... Now, the reason we want this port is you can see here it has trade and Hands of Glory. So what we're going to do is we're going to move here. Now, the reason you don't want to attack any ports, any settlements that have siege weapons is because, see how it says strikes air anywhere? This could potentially kill your Necromancer. It becomes more difficult depending upon how many troops you have, right? But it's not worth the risk early on. So we're going to attack the port because we outnumber them drastically. Yep. Awesome. And as you can see here now, our Hand of Glory production is 5 per month. 3 from the Gallows and 2 from the port. But we're also getting 2 trade. So what we're going to do with this trade is if we go into the trade administration, we can either use the trade to get more iron or get more Hands of Glory. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is basically the way the Necromancer faction works. So he's got 14 insanity, which is not bad. We're going to spend... I'm trying to get the ritual Twiceborn. Right, that's fine. So we're going to raise our dead. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some archers here just to protect this port. Because ports can be attacked by enemy pirates. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the trade to get Hands of Glory. The reason being is that I'm trying to get the Twiceborn ritual. So we want that Hands of Glory production. Alright, so let's... Yep, alright, let's try and get that Hands of the... Okay, still didn't get it, that's fine. How many units do we have? Commanding 43 units. If you actually hover over here, it'll tell you how many units are commanding. So I think we're going to go after this tent village just to get some more gold production. And hopefully more dead bodies. Okay, now that's what we wanted. We wanted a scout, so we're going to go back and buy the scout. Scouts are absolutely critical. The reason being is that you can see stealthy units. So if I look here now, okay, there was no stealthy units here, but there actually could have been. Now there's a vampire here that is actually, vampire is very strong, so we're not going to try and take him. Okay, so what's happened now is we've expanded a little bit, And so in the meantime, what I've been doing is I've been waiting for... So as you can see, how our commander is insane. But that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pass the turn. Right? So the really important thing about playing Conquest of Elysium, it applies to other games, but it definitely applies to this one, is you always want to use resources to make more resources, right? You don't want to be focusing on the high level rituals at the beginning. You want to be focusing on building like a battery of resources that rebuild resources, right? So this is where this trick comes in. This is the trick that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. There is a ritual called the Twiceborn ritual that I've unlocked. And as you can see here, it can only be cast in citadels and graveyards. Now, what is unique about the Necromancer class is that I think they're the only ones that have the Dark Citadel that I've seen, right? And so this is really powerful for your early game. Like I said, if you didn't know this can make or break the early game. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Twiceborn ritual at the Citadel, right? And you'll see this little Twiceborn thing will come up, right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to kill the Necromancer apprentice, right? Now, I'm doing this because I want to get, I'll explain. But, I also want to see the battle, because I want to see what spells, okay, see, he's got disease and weakness, okay. So, this is kind of dangerous, especially for my Necromancer, because he's got the spell orb, which means he can reach in the back, but we won't get into that. Like I said, don't take this until you're absolutely ready. So, he's gonna die, so he died, and now he comes back as a corpse mage, and you'll see that he has regained sanity 1. Now, this is unique to the Necromancer class for the most part that I've seen, right? It can only be done at the Citadel, right? So what's the benefit of this? The benefit of this is that when you get to level 2, so now he's going to lose sanity per turn. When you get to level 2 with him, he's going to regain 2 sanity a turn. So basically, instead of being expendable Necromancers who you can just use for summoning, now you can create a battery of people that can raise dead. So then what you're going to do is you're just going to take him around with you. And you're going to wait until your Hands of Glory get up to 60. And then you're going to use that to get him to level 2. So before we move on to the mid game, I just thought I would show you something. So we've got our first corpse mage. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on use special power, and we're going to see how the Ritual of Mastery costs 60 for him, but it costs only 30 for him. The reason being is that when you use the first ritual it actually increases the level of your mage. So what's going to happen is you'll see here we have a corpse mage. He's got necromancy level 1. As you can see, he's recovered insanity. So he's regained sanity. So his insanity has dropped down to 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a special power. We're going to use the Ritual of Mastery on him. And now you can see that he has necromancy level 2. He's gotten level 2. He's got the level 2 spells Wither and Terror. And now he's regaining double the insanity, right? So that's pretty much what you want to do at this point. That's the early game covered. So you'll want to do that with all your Necromancer's apprentices as well. You're going to want to turn them into... Now, you're going to want to turn them into corpse mages. Now, you might ask why I didn't do it with the main Necromancer. The reason being is that once you turn into a corpse mage, it stops you from becoming a vampire or a lich. So it's really good in the early game, but what I generally like to do is I generally like to have one caster that I sink all my points into to unlock the masteries, to unlock the rituals. and have them become a vampire or a lich. So my long-term game is, I've got an old castle ruin here. So my long-term game is basically to, once I take this over, to start creating vampires. And I'm going to be looking for ancient temples to create liches. So we're going to move on to the mid-game now. Alright, so now we've made it to the mid-game. Now, I actually got, as you can see here, I've expanded quite a bit. I've taken over some towns that are giving me, as you can see, I've got 16 Hands of Glory coming in. For up here, I've got some trade happening. Normally, so at this point in the game, you've got a fairly sizable army. You can see I've got a sizable army, about 200 units. Now, at this point in the game is where you're going to... Normally, you wouldn't start with an old castle ruin here, but I got pretty lucky. But normally what you would want to do is you're looking for old castle ruins or ancient temples. So I have recruited a Necromancer apprentice here, and I've unlocked his rituals for one reason. And that's for the Dark Knowledge ritual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit repeat ritual, and I'm going to cast it. And as you can see here, we found a graveyard. Now, what this ritual does is it basically will randomly unlock and show you an area of the map where there's a lot of dead bodies, right? Now, the big advantage of this is that you can use it to scout the map. Old castle ruins generally tend to have a lot of dead bodies, so there's a good chance that you'll find them or a temple, but that's what you want to do. So you need an old castle ruin in order to transition to the mid-game, right? Another thing that you're going to be doing is once you've unlocked a lot of units, if you go on your recruitment tab, I didn't really cover this before, like you've got like general units of spearmen, swordsmen, archers, crossbowmen, heavy infantries. You're not going to be doing too much recruiting with the Necromancer, except for if you've got spare gold. But down here, you've got conversions. And so what this means is this will convert 5 soulless into armored soulless, right? And so you can use it to convert Longdeads into Armored Longdeads, Banefire Archers, or Banebones. Now, the default option that you're going to be picking is Armored Longdeads. The reason being is that they have 2 armor. They have a shield, which means they get up to +2 resistance from ranged weapons, and they have pierce resistance, which halves the damage they take on pierce weapons. So the point is, this is a great way of taking your Longdeads and your excess iron that you're probably not going to be using for anything, and converting it to something that's useful. So as you can see here, I've got a lot of Longdeads. Armored Longdeads. You can see I've got 50 of them. So what I've done is I've created some Banebones as well, but mainly some Armored Longdeads, right? These are really good at taking your Longdeads and using that iron to do something with them, right? So what we're going to do next is we're going to attack the undead castle. Now, I've left my main Necromancer behind, simply put because when we checked before, we saw that this Necromancer has plague spells which could potentially kill the Necromancer. So what we're going to do is we're going to send in our army led by our captain with two of our corpse mages in to take the Dark Castle. Right, so we're just going, this is all about overwhelming odds. Let's do it. I'm just going to drop a save just to make sure that I don't die in this particular case because it'll stuff of the demo. Cool. Alright, so let's do this. Yep. Now we should have won. Yeah, we won. Our Draco Lich did most of the damage. Right? Cool. We lost one Armored Soulless. You can see that they killed 10 units. So they're actually pretty good. And we got a Orb of Projection, which is nice. So now what we're going to do... is we're going to bring our Necromancer there. We're going to switch to buying Hands of Glory. And as you can see here, there's a lot of undead, but I'm not going to summon them. Alright, so we've got another army here that we can take, which has a siege castle, but we'll just hold off for now. So we're going to, if you long click on a location, it'll show you what so we're going to recruit some more Armored Longdead. Simply put, because we can. In the turn. Get the swordsman. He's got the blood right ritual. Cool. Alright, so we'll end the turn. So as you can see, we can now see what the enemy is. So if we have a... Okay, so let's have a look. Cool. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the blood right to turn our Necromancer into a vampire. Now, he's now immortal. He has flying, which means he cannot die. As long as this place never gets taken, he can't die. Now, so that's pretty much the... Now, the big advantage of vampires is that because they're really good fighters and they have flying, so they're very good for taking settlements on their own. But so, like I said, I got lucky in this one. But normally you would have to go sometimes you'll have to go really out of your way to find an old castle ruin. And if you have a look here, you can see here that this Necromancer's apprentice has been finding areas on the map. And so this is pretty much... So the only thing I need to cover now is your rituals. Now, Lichdom is... I might go into that later on, but it's not really super different. Like, I'm not going to... This is just more to give you a guide to get you started. Like I said, the advantage of vampires is that they're immortal, so as long as you never lose the castle that they come from, they will stay. So to give you a demonstration, I'm going to fly... Okay, so I'm going to unrecruit these units. Right, just to give you a demonstration. Let's fly the vampire into here. See if he wins. He actually won! See what I'm talking about? He took down all of them by himself, right? So vampires are really good for expanding the map, right? Now at this point, you're just going to have the vampire flying around fighting everything. Now, the only other thing that I need to talk about is there's a lot of other rituals for the Necromancer, but I won't really get into them. A lot of them are pretty straightforward. So, the only other thing that I need to talk about at this point is major summons. Once you have some Hands of Glory coming in, you're going to be basically focusing on major summoning, except for when you have, except for if you want to create more corpse mages or vampires. A couple of other things that I haven't covered is that the Necromancer has this ritual called Raise Animals. So if you find a magic forest, an ancient forest, it can be a good place to cast reanimate animals. They're generally significantly more powerful than regular humanoids via the Raised Dead. In relation to major summons, you should probably focus on those if you don't have Hands of Glory to spend on other things. The reason is that they give you a lot of things that are really good for map expansion. Tartarian spirits are like a massive giant super monster that can go around and expand the map as well. They're very tough and very powerful fighters. Carrion are like scouts that are immortal. They can't really fight, but they're very good for scouting and also for taking undefended areas by the enemy. And the rest of them, you've got wraiths, which are pretty much undead casters. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, if you don't have it, if you can't think of anything to use your Hands of Glory on, use Major Summons. It's generally a good idea. And that's pretty much the beginner's guide to the Necromancer faction. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'd love to hear your comments, what you'd like me to do a guide on next. What's your favorite part about the Necromancer? What's your least favorite part? All that good jazz. See you on the next one.